Well, welcome back to the DC UK podcast. This is a bit of a change of pace episode because, as you can probably see, I'm sat down with Russell Canouse, albeit virtually. I would love to do this in person, but
that would be nice.
There's a bit of a time difference and a bit of a travel distance, and it is what it is. But Russell so far has made over 140 appearances for the Black and Red, contributing 5 goals and 6 assists. But 2024, it's been a bit of a different season for you, to say the least. Being sidelined since the beginning of the season due to your battle with ulcerative colitis. But I had surgery back, I think it was March 22nd when I went back and looked at the press release.
Yep.
And obviously that's made your long start to your road to recovery. You've had further 2 surgeries and you've had months of rehab, going through all your working to come back. But you've made your triumphant return to the first team, which I think everybody's been over the moon to see, because I don't think many of us actually see that. So this episode is going to be about the story of your resilience, your determination, and your unwavering spirit of a true athlete.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
I know. How was that for an intro, hey?
That was spot on.
Yeah. So for those out there, I don't know, do you want to give a little explanation about what the condition is, or would you like me to do that?
I can start, and then if you want to add anything. Like you said, I have ulcerative colitis. I've had it since fall of 2021. It's been a battle for a few years now. It wasn't something that was public until obviously I had to miss significant time, but it was something that the last 3+ years I've dealt with, and it's been a big part of my life, a big change in my life. Early in my career, it wasn't the case, but the last couple of years I've dealt with it. It's an autoimmune disease that affects the large intestine, colon. Crohn's disease is another IBD, inflammatory bowel disease. Ulcerative colitis is the other one, which I have. Crohn's is your entire intestinal tract. Mine obviously is, more in the colon, large intestine, which was also the reason we ended up having to do, or were able to do a surgery, which was more of an emergent surgery. But anyway, the last couple of years have been tough. There's been times where I've gone through multiple different medications. I've been still able to play, and handle my career the way, obviously it's been, nobody noticed from the outside, but internally it's been a battle that's been going on a long time. Now it's become more public just because of the time of me having the surgery and the required time to recover and the 3-step process. But for me, it's been a battle that's been 3 years now, long before the March 1st surgery. So do you want to add anything to that? I can obviously then go into more detail.
No, I think you've absolutely hit the nail on the head with what it is. I know a couple of people who have Crohn's disease, but I've never actually come across anyone who's had the ulcerative colitis condition. So I know how much of an impact it can have on your daily life as well. So the fact that you're here talking about it, I think it's great to just kind of bring that awareness to other people.
Just definitely. And that's like, for me, when I look at this year and what I've gone through, going into March, it was almost an emergent surgery coming off preseason, Saudi Arabia, getting home. I thought I had jet lag, and then I just continued to go downhill with weight loss, a bunch of different symptoms, to be honest. Loss of appetite, loss of energy, weight loss, there was a bunch of different things that I had at the time. So it became clear, look, like this may become an emergent surgery situation, which is what it ended up being. But going back to the diagnosis of ulcerative colitis, it was inflammation in my large intestine, colon, and symptoms of what that looks like from day to day. It's running to the bathroom, not being able to hold going to the bathroom, hold your stool in. It's just a constant anxiety, worry of like, okay, like, can I even pick my son up from daycare? Like those types of things. And it literally, controls your life. The fact that I was able to go out and train the last couple of years and then play games with it and figure out a routine was remarkable. But this surgery was something I wanted to push off till the end of my career, but actually the fact that it happened now is, I would say, and how I feel now and how I'm going to continue to feel based on a lot of people I've spoken to is I'm almost glad that it's happened now because I'll be a healthier version of myself. So
Yeah.
that's one positive, just being able to absorb nutrients again and being able to, like I said, not have that stress of going to the bathroom all the time, being able to hold going to the bathroom, like those types of things. Like there's a lot of people that struggle with it, like you said, and bringing
Yeah.
awareness now that I've had to become a bit more public with it, and have multiple surgeries that had me out for an extended period of time. This is also a time where I look at it, it's like, okay, this happened, like I said, for a good reason at this point in my career. One, from a health standpoint, but two, I'm still playing. I'm still the same same Russell Canouse player. Now I'm playing, and I can create awareness with a disease that takes over and controls a lot of people's lives, and they're uncomfortable in speaking out about it or talking to people about it because you're going to the bathroom. Like, who wants to talk about me running to the bathroom? You know what I mean? Like, that's like a lot of times in the past, we joke about it, but people really struggle with that from a mental side as well. So, these podcasts, these conversations are what I want to continue to have in the future. And, I'm back healthy, back playing, but I don't want that to stop me bringing awareness to, IBD community, but also those who aren't familiar with these diseases that are becoming more and more common with, which who knows why. So,
yeah. So you said you were first diagnosed back in 2021. What was your first kind of warning signs that this could be what it is, and what was your process to actually get through to that actual diagnosis?
Yeah. So, I mean, how detailed do I want to be? But like I was going to the bathroom 15, 20, 25 times a day. I got really sick all of a sudden, and I ended up going in for a stool test, and it showed I had a bacterial infection. I went on antibiotics. There was blood in my stool. Like, there was we're worried, like, what's going on here, right?
Yeah.
So found out that was a bacterial infection, went on antibiotics, kind of helped a little bit, but I still had symptoms going from end of the season 2021. I was playing when this was happening.
Yeah.
And it continued into off season, did not improve at all. I went in for a colonoscopy, and obviously the colonoscopy showed the inflammation in my colon, large intestine. Which was then and there they gave me the diagnosis, like, you have mild to moderate ulcerative colitis. And mild to moderate, like, as I went over the next 2-3 years up until this past surgery, I think mild to moderate was conservative, because I don't know whether with playing it increased inflammation and playing professionally, but it seemed more moderate to severe colitis. And then obviously I went medications. I went through multiple steps. Infusions, I would be going in every 8 weeks, and I went in every 4 weeks. I'd be going in for infusions. I'd sit there for 45 minutes having medication into me. I tried once a day pills. There was 5-6 different things I've tried. In and out of the last 3 years, I was on prednisone because I had a flare up. So, like, for me to get out of a flare up, meaning a flare up means I'm going 15-20 times a day, and I'm not able, I'm whatever the reason you go into a flare up with IBD, like, to really calm that inflammation down, they'd put me on prednisone, which not good for my long-term personal health, but that was the only thing that kind of would help me get back to a somewhat normal that I could then function. Right.
Yeah.
And that was like this up and down journey for the last 3 years. No medication working, some maybe having partial response, then having a flare up, then going on prednisone to then get it somewhat under control. But I never really went into remission on any of the traditional medicines. I brought in a functional medicine doctor. I spoke, I did all the natural stuff. I hired a dietitian. I did MRT testing where I sent off my blood to figure out what foods cause exact inflammation. 3, 4, 5 months, I was very purposeful in what I was putting in my body. Still not like fully help put me into remission while I'm on the medications. And I mean, like I said, I could have kept continuing that route, trying all these different stuff. But at the end of the day, this surgery or I'll say 3 surgeries.
Yeah.
And J pouch surgery came at the right time for me to then look, like, I don't need to be on prednisone anymore. I don't need to be on these medications. Like, it was a longer process, and it's quite frankly, like, I was in a bunch of pain and suffering this year, going
Yeah.
multiple surgeries, and I can go into detail a little bit more about that. But now that I'm on the tail end of this, and I'm, recovering and feeling good, like, I see a lot of benefits with what I went through. It was worth it.
So obviously those last few years before having the surgery, obviously, I mean, a lot of down periods. How much of an effect did that actually have on you, both physically and mentally? Were there side effects not just from the condition itself, but from the anxiety and things like that? Were you affected much from that side?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, from a mental health standpoint, it's like you just get into this routine of like dealing with it. Like, I constantly would just deal with it and like go about my life. I'm a very optimistic person usually, so
Yeah.
I wasn't gonna let that dictate my life. But at the end of the day, it did have a control over me because you know you have IBS, which is the anxiety and stress. Like, you don't completely know why. Now I'm getting diagnosed with IBD. I know why, but there's still the anxiety of having to go to the bathroom when I'm going on a off-season run or during training, or like I said earlier, picking my son up from daycare. Like, there's all these like stressors, and it's not a fun. It was not a fun situation. I give all the credit to my wife and my kids, my family, just because especially looking at this last 6 to 9 months, my wife has been incredible. Having our daughter, and then just mentally staying strong for me while I go through. And probably this is the most difficult 6 months of my life, other than when my mom passed. It's, from a physical on my body. But yeah, from a mental health standpoint, it was difficult, dealing with. But like I said, I'm an optimistic person. So I was, I'm just like, all right, like, I keep going. I'll try this. I try this. And at the end of the day, I would have kept trying, but I got to a point where, like, literally my body just gave away on me, and it was an emergent situation where I needed to be in the hospital. And thank God, bless the surgeon, she was able to see me on on a Monday, and she turned around and got me in for surgery on a Friday, when a lot of people have to wait for this, So she was going off on vacation, and I would have been in the hospital, 4 or 5 days later, just because of I was on my deathbed, literally.
So fair play to that surgeon. I think is commend that. Absolutely brilliant. So now you've had your 3 surgeries. Out of those 3 surgeries, which one has been sort of the most difficult? Was it the first one, second one, third one, and what's been
They've all had different challenges. So it was always going to be 3 surgeries from the beginning. I knew that going into it. It could have been 2, but because of the, just wanting to make sure 100% what they would do internally with my small intestine and creating this J pouch and healing of it for the longevity of my body, like, we just opted for the 3 to make sure. But we compressed the time in between. It's normally 8 to 12 weeks between. I always was able to hit it at 8 weeks, just because I was able to build back strong. But I would say the second and third surgery have been the most difficult. The first one I noticed right away, like, they removed my colon, large intestine. I had a colectomy, and that gave me relief right away. You literally removed the poison from my body, basically, what was causing the inflammation. Now, there's been different challenges. Like, I've had an ostomy bag with this, like, where I'm not sitting on the toilet. I have to go and empty the bag into the toilet.
Wow.
My intestine is outside my abdominal. Like, I don't want to get too, like, into the nitty details, but it was a very difficult learning process for me, and trying to figure this out. By the time I figured it out, I was having my ostomy removed for the third surgery and pushed back behind my abdominal wall. So the second surgery was difficult because I was in the hospital a week longer. I had I believe it's called ileus, where it took a little bit of time for my intestinal tract to wake up just because of, medication they give you, anesthesia, the manipulation of the bowels going into that, that's a pretty heavy surgery. They're taking first surgery. I removed my colon, large intestine, which was, that was where my disease was. They basically removed my disease from my body. Right.
Yep.
The second surgery, they went and repurposed my small intestine and pulled it down and attached it and created a J pouch. That was the shape that they found 30 years ago that would basically, and granted, like I'm trying to get all the details right, but that would act as my new colon, large intestine, right? So
yeah,
they did not, the third surgery, so they did not hook it up then. So like I still had my ostomy. So they pulled from the middle of the small intestine then, and I still was going into the bag. The third surgery, they sewed it back up and pushed it back by my abdominal wall, and then opened up, like obviously going to the bathroom normally again and everything. So second surgery, I was in a lot of pain for 2 weeks, and that week in the hospital was very, very tough with tube up my nose, down my throat, like with ileus, like not a comfortable situation. The third surgery has been also difficult. I'm at a decent spot now, still getting better each day, but when you start to go in the bathroom again and like scar tissue and everything in there, it's uncomfortable at times, so the bloating was really bad after that third surgery and uncomfortable. So it's been like different things that pop up, but long process, but it's at the point I'm at now, it's like, all right, well, I'm thankful to have gone through that, but it's you can see why they opt to stay, from traditional medicine standpoint, try everything until because it's a lot for the normal person to go through that 3-step process, even though the people I've spoken to, it's changed their life, to be honest.
Yeah, I suppose they want to try and do everything they possibly can, because surgery is such a massive toll. No matter what type of surgery you're going to do, it's going to be a massive toll on the human body. And the fact that you've been able to hit that 8-week mark every single time and come through it.
And to provide context, like on what this last, since March, right? So a couple weeks prior to March, I was training, came back off my ankle injury from preseason. And I was ready to play against St. Louis. And that's when I had to step away just because of all the things I mentioned earlier. But, in between these surgeries, I've been able to train quite a lot. So I've been able to, that's the reason why I've also been able to get back so quickly. So have surgery, the first surgery, 3 weeks off. And then all of a sudden I'm back out in the field jogging. Then the next week I'm touching the ball, like running, I'm, lifting weights. So I had a good about 4 or 5 weeks between each surgery to really build myself back up, to then go down and get beat down again, to then have to put myself back up a little stronger, to then get beat down again for the third surgery. And, that's obviously made me returning to the field quicker, but it's, if I wasn't able to do that work and train between and get strong, it would have been really tough to come back. But, based on timings and how everything's worked out, it's been, I've been thankful to be able to, impact the team and be back on the field for this last stretch of games.
Definitely. So you talked about getting that training in between the surgeries. Apart from that, what has actually kept you going throughout this whole process?
I mean, I go back to the mindset of being optimistic and honestly knowing that, I have my whole life ahead of me. I have my whole career still ahead of me. I'm 29 years old, right? I look at this situation and I try to view it as look, it's less mileage I've had to put on my body. Obviously I wanted to play this year. That's no brainer.
Yes.
I would have much rather been. But if I look at the situation, it's a season later in my career that I haven't had to put mileage on, and I took a step that actually will help me become a healthier version of myself. And in addition to that too, it's something that obviously will benefit me on the field, but also off the field with my family life and how I feel as well. So those things kept me motivated. My wife kept me motivated, my faith as well. I think from, just trying to stay strong and knowing in those difficult times that I have, there's a much bigger reason of why this is happening to me at this moment. And we touched on in the beginning about awareness, and I think this is one of the first steps I'm doing to try to create awareness. I think you look at a guy, I don't know if you know this, but Darren Fletcher went through the very same process. Sir Alex Ferguson was very supportive of him. He obviously came back 8 weeks later. He was back on the field, with the first team playing, right? Played maybe a game with the 21s and then was back out there. But if you look at any of his articles, like that's, and anything that he's been publicly, that he's spoken about in the past, I feel like that's me speaking, in that interview. It's literally the same thing, but just creating awareness and what he's done, that those are the things that I didn't want to give up during this time at all. I wanted to be able to say, like, look, I've been through hell and back, and a lot of struggling, not just this year. This has been multiple years prior. So, but now that I am back healthy, I can even speak more on it, right? If I would have given up and just kind of went through the motions and you felt sorry for myself, it doesn't benefit myself. It doesn't benefit my family. It doesn't benefit anyone, right? And a lot of people, that's a way I could have gone, because it's a struggle for sure. So I would say those are some of the things that help me get through.
And how have the club been throughout this entire process? I'm assuming the club knew back in 2021 that you had this. And obviously you had the surgery. So, and especially your teammates, how have they been around you for this entire process, and how much have they helped you along as well?
Yeah, amazing. I mean, I didn't say them. I should have included that as well, right? They're the ones that got me through too. I'll start off with Troy and Ali. Like, they've been amazing for me for this whole process. Not putting any pressure on me, supporting me when I needed it, keeping me motivated when I need it, seeing me out in the field doing all this hard work to know that I go in for another surgery, but keeping me motivated. My guys pushing me along. Going back to Darren Fletcher, he said some things about Sir Alex that I 100% think the same about Troy. And I think I said this in my, one of the other interviews I did, but I think having Troy here and me going through this process was meant to happen at this point in my career, like having him as a coach, and, the values he lives his life by, and being able to support me, my family. That's allowed me to get back and be able to help the team, and for this last stretch of games. So they've been huge, and also the medical staff too, like working with me to trying to create a plan of, like, okay, look, Russ, like, we want to get you back 8 weeks between surgeries, and after the second surgery there's another 8 weeks. Like, this is potentially your timing, and building up the programs to be able to build me up. So knowing when I go into the second surgery, I'm going to have a little dip, but then to build me back up, and knowing all the, the load management and everything to make sure I don't have any setbacks on the field, muscular injury or whatever, because of all the other things I'm dealing with, like all of the components that went into it. The medical staff, training staff, performance staff have been a blessing, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like you've had the right support network to get you through 2024 so far.
Yeah, it's definitely a unique situation, but I think everyone, that game in Chicago, me being back, everyone was part of that. That just wasn't the work that I put in. Obviously, that was everyone else around me too. So that's how I felt, at least.
Yes, I was definitely doing a little cheer over here when I saw your number coming up, and I was like, get in, he's fine. To be fair, I was massively surprised when I saw your name on the team sheet on the bench. I was like,
I think most
what's going on?
Like, we kind of, I mean, with all the unknowns, right? It was, it's been not a fully public situation of like how well I was doing throughout the last couple months. But obviously we had the conversation of season ending in the beginning. We didn't know what that would look like as a club. So there was really not much clarity out there, for a lot of fans to know that all of a sudden I was back, so.
Yeah, it was just fantastic. And you've had that couple of appearances from the bench so far. What are your aims going into the rest of the season and this last stretch of games for you personally? What is your aim?
I think so. Yeah, I mean, I've played Chicago, and this past weekend, I've had now 3 weeks. This is being the fourth week. The first week was a little low intensity, but this
Yeah,
being my fourth week of full training, it's hard. I'm playing catch up, right? From a
yeah,
fitness,
yeah,
touches, everything, but I'm trying to do my best to be available for as many minutes as I get. I think my first step was to be able to get back out there, show that I'm healthy, show that
yeah,
I can contribute to this team, because a lot of this season for me has been, behind the scenes meetings, like how can I, talk to teammates and try to engage and
yeah,
help, which quite frankly, it's very difficult to do.
yeah,
Um, now being back on the field, it's like, okay, hey, I'm gonna give my best to try to continue to get better every day. I'm feeling like I'm getting back in my rhythm every single day, but at the end of the day, it's we have 3-4 weeks left of regular 4 weeks left of regular season and then playoffs. So, any minutes I can get, I'm starting to feel good. So, um, obviously, I've been out an extended time. So, however, the coaching
yeah,
staff wants to deploy me, but at the end of the day, right now, I'm just feeling grateful to be back out in the field, be blessed, and continue to strengthen myself every single day, right? Whatever comes from
yeah,
it, whatever impact I can have. Like, I'm so thankful the team has something to play for here the last 5 games, and I can be a part of it. Whether that's starting a game if I need to, coming off
yeah,
the bench the rest of the time, whatever. It's a difficult situation for me trying to play catch up and get fitness back while we're end of the season. So, um, I look probably feeling really good the last 2-3 games of the regular season,
yeah,
and then you're going into playoffs.
Ups.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
No, no hope. We'll get there. We'll get there.
yep.
I'm
Yeah, I
confident
mean,
we'll get there.
I'm confident as well in our group.
Yeah, I mean, you've come in at such a really good time as well with our recent form. It's been phenomenal over the last month or so, where we've just been picking up wins and points and only a single defeat in the stretch. It's just like it's such a great way to end the season. But for you, that Chicago game, I just want to take you back to that.
Yeah.
Um, it's getting your, obviously, Troy would have said you're coming on, and you've seen your name, your number coming up. What was that emotional feeling like? How did you feel?
Yeah, it was definitely emotional. I just felt a lot of gratitude, I think, in the moment, and like thankfulness of like the situation. And that's like if you talk about, okay, well, what am I looking at the next couple weeks? It's just reflecting and being present and making sure I give my best every single day, which that's easy to do for me, just because that's how I'm that's ingrained in me from a mentality standpoint. But
Yeah,
it's being present and being thankful, having that different perspective, right? And I don't want to lose that at all the rest of my career either, right? This
yeah,
is, a perspective. You have injuries that pop up during your career, but something like this is full perspective change of like, okay, look, like I'm I'm thankful every single time I go out in the field, and being able to have these conversations of making awareness in whatever we're talking about, or meeting that kid on the sidelines, right? That can change
yeah,
his perspective on life, his goals, his or her goals, whatever it is, right?
yeah,
Those are the things you know, I'm just thankful for. And I think that, going back to the Chicago game, the reason I'm bringing that up is because in that moment, I wasn't really that nervous. It was more so just like, wow, like I've come this far this season after all the struggles, not even this season,
yeah,
last few years, right? And,
yeah,
I'm finally starting to get my health back. And it's like all, me coming back on the field was special.
yeah.
So,
And then you had that same moment at Audi Field as well, the following game. Was that a different kind of feeling being in front of the fans coming off the
yeah, I
bench?
mean, that's really special too. It almost felt like
Yeah,
a second debut for this season for me. I had a
yeah,
lot of family too at the game. So post game, it was
yeah,
really special. Um, taking pictures, having my son on the field with me. That's the
yeah.
first time that's
So there
really
was a
happened.
photo of him running up and
Yeah.
down as well. That was great.
After, yeah, our conditioning after, that was cool.
Yeah,
That's going to be a picture to look back on for sure.
definitely. Um, and just kind of rounding off your comeback for this year with the surgeries and obviously the recovery and what's happened with your body as well, have you had to adapt how you train and actually more importantly how you play your game?
No, absolutely not. Um, I mean, at this point, like where I'm at in my return to play,
Yeah.
you're still, from a performance standpoint, you're still monitoring me just because of I'm still pretty fresh off that last surgery and getting back into the load of team training, all those things. But from a what I do on the field and my physical game and the way I play, that's not changing. I mean, I can
Yeah.
everything is healed up internally. Like I'm going into
Yep.
tackles. You know what I mean? I'm gonna
Yes.
be aggressive and be that guy that I've been my entire career. So I'm not worried 1 second about that. And after this last couple months, what I've been through.
Nice. And then before we wrap things up, just kind of one real final point. What advice can you give to anyone who's going through this right now?
I like that a lot. I think not hiding it is like probably the best piece of advice I can give. Just don't be afraid to speak out to family first of all, because they can understand, friends. Even like if you're in the workplace, like just letting your boss know or whoever knows like that this is something you're going through, because having that support system can help you. I mean, obviously I ended up having to get surgery, but like going through the last 3 years, it's manageable when you have a good support system and you have people that understand what you're going through. You don't feel shameful of having to run off to the bathroom. Like it's normal when you have IBD or an autoimmune disease like this where you're struggling. And I would just say, for me also, I wasn't successful in finding other solutions other than the traditional medicine route. But I believed a lot in, trying to explore all those different things and really trying to change your lifestyle, because that, at the end of the day, like it didn't fully put me into remission, but I was able to play professional soccer, and really optimize my routine and do all those little things, right, which help. And I think, from a person who has IBD, no matter your situation, try to go into all those different avenues and research and try to understand your disease, because there was times where you kind of just want to like put it in a box and throw it away and just go about your day to day, right? Like you kind of want to hide that you have this, but you need to be open. You need to go and explore and talk to people, like all these different things to be able to, I think, have help the stress and anxiety of like the disease itself, but also maybe find solutions for yourself. So that's what I would say.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you.
Yep.
That was really good. And obviously sharing your story, being open about everything and actually bringing that insight into what the recovery is and actually how you've dealt with it, especially on a day-to-day basis. I've learned quite a bit as well. Obviously we've talked a couple of times throughout the year.
Yeah.
And actually doing a little bit of research about what the condition is, it's certainly a bit of an eye-opening. And even now in this conversation we've just had, I learned about even what that, you got J-pouch?
J-pouch, yep.
J-pouch, even what that is, that's incredible.
And it's insane. They can modern medicine repurpose your, intestinal tract to be able to do that, but
it's just crazy. But the fact that there is ways that this can be dealt with and people can overcome it, I think that should give people a lot of hope for those who are suffering with this.
Even when you feel like you've failed, there's always another solution to keep going, right? And that's kind of, you look at the last 3.5 years, like that's 3 years, that's been what I've gone through, just keep trying. And I'm at a point where I'm not, I'm not to where I want to be, but I'm on my way there. I feel very confident. I feel like there's been a lot of positives that have come out of this. So, that's been a few years where I haven't felt that way. So,
which is good, which is great.
Yeah.
That's what we want you back at the top of your game and pulling on that black and red forevermore.
Oh yeah.
Forevermore. Yeah. Well, thank you for sitting down and chatting everything about this. And it's been an absolute pleasure to have you back on the show. I think this is This has been your 7th appearance
Is it that
on the
many?
podcast.
No way.
I think so. I need to
I
get
don't
you
know,
one
about
of these.
7, maybe 5 or 6.
Might be 6.
Yeah, I've definitely done a couple already.
Yeah. I think I need to get you one of these. Get you
send one over.
decent.
I will for sure.
Yeah, I'll get you one.
Awesome.
It's even a proper Adidas one as well.
There we go.
You know? Yeah, it's great.
One definitely.
Love it. Yeah,
I'll do it.
Cool.
I'll put a picture up and we'll put a post up for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Cool.
Organize it with the guys, please. Okay.
Yes,
Yours.
I'll message Brian and Sam and
Right.
get that sorted out. Cool.
All right.
Well, yeah. Once again, thank you very much, and we'll end the show there. And good luck for the rest of the season, mate.
Thanks, man. Good seeing you.
Cheers.
Bye.
You too.